All right, welcome back. It is Showtime with Golden Tate. Another week, another homie now that we're done with it, of course, coming to join me. We got DSQ, our first DS joining on the pod, and boy, do we have a lot to discuss. And we've already started reminiscing on our time, but first and foremost, man, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to come on. I know you're traveling all over the place, living life. I'm happy for you, but thank you so much.
First I got to give it back to you, brother. Appreciate you having me on here. It's fortunate. I'm fortunate to be a part of this and be a part of your story. I followed you through, the NFL, your career, and all that stuff. So it was an honor to be a part of, the process that you went through in the selection program. And so I'm happy and honored and happy to be on this show with you, brother. Thanks a lot for having me.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing about this is that I want y'all viewers to know Q was nothing like he is now. He's just right now so wholesome. He's so good. He's awesome. But man, he put us through some grinding situations. And in fact, Q labeled himself as the hammer. And when I say the hammer, it was nothing less than a hammer. He brought down the heat. Whenever we messed up and you heard those words, "You owe me," a pit in my stomach would happen every single time. And I'll tell you this story to start us off. So we get pushed, episode 1, we get pushed off the boat, fully clothed with our life vest on, start swimming. Q's in the boat, like, "Let's go. You're going to be out of here before we even start." I thought I could swim, but obviously I can't swim well enough. We get to land finally, have to hike up this little bitty hill, and eventually Q makes his way. And me and Cam Newton are standing side by side, shivering like, what just happened, sleep deprived. And Q comes over and says, "Hey, you two, drop and give me 25 push-ups, and I want you to hold them." As he's walking around us, talking slowly, we doing them. And we hold him, and he gets down in this voice, this deep, raspy voice. "You two supposed to be the strongest motherfuckers out here, huh?" "Yes, staff, I guess." "Oh, we gonna see. We gonna see. I'm gonna have fun with you." And that's when I was like, oh, no, here we go. The only brother on here, I thought he was gonna take care of me, and he is in my ass right away. Now, we've come a long way, and this is probably the most I've seen you smile, obviously, since the show. But I've gotten to know you a little bit more, and man, you became the most scary DS to one of my favorites. What was that experience like for you to start the season off?
Oh man, it's my when you tell the story, it just kind of reminds me of that beginning scenario there. Because people, I don't think, realize this. And for your audience, your fans and stuff, your supporters, we actually create the show. All the tasks, we as the instructors, the DS. I'm the SEAL. There's Marine Recon as Rudy. You got the SAS and SBS for Billy and Foxy.
Right.
And we want this show to be very authentic. So we make sure, as the gatekeepers to anyone watching the show, that they see that this is kind of a version of what we all had to go through. Being a Navy SEAL takes a year. So imagine that whole process of our selection going through a year of always having someone in your ear telling you you're not enough. No matter what you do, you can have a great moment. They're going to make sure you don't feel that. And we wanted to make sure we gave that to you guys. So when I saw you and Cam, I already knew, because some of the staff, they didn't know much about American football. So I explained it to them. And I knew both of you guys. Well, Cam, he's played at the Carolina Panthers. I was living in Carolina. You were always my nemesis in Seattle against my Washington Redskins back then, and Commanders now. You seem to always make that catch, make that touchdown, make that guy miss that just got on my nerves to get that first down or get that, I was like, oh, kept putting us out of the playoffs. So I had a little bit of a urge to really want to give you two extra, which we get it. I got that in my program when I went through it. They can tell who you are, and we can tell that you're the physically there. Now I want to push you and challenge you mentally and see how you can handle that, because what we do in real life, the mental aspect of being a Navy SEAL is
Mhm.
the toughest piece of the pie. It's not about how physically strong you are, how fast you can run, how quick you can swim and climb ropes and do all this and do all that. It's about that mental piece because when you're getting shot at, when you got explosions coming around you, when you're entering a house of a terrorist, all this energy, all this adrenaline that's going through your body, this fear also, you got a lot of fear. You have to be able to overcome all of those things, the mental side of it as well. So that's what I wanted to make sure I gave you guys. And I'm glad I was a part of it. And that moment you talked about was funny for me because I was like, oh, I got the two badasses right here. And I'm about to give these two every bit of me out here on this show. We're going to see what they do. And I was really impressed with you guys.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was there was a lot of hardness in this season, and people have asked me nonstop when they see me out and about on the street, and they say, "Hey, was it as hard as they made it seem?" I said, "No, it was harder than what they made it seem." I mean, people don't understand. Like, this was completely unscripted. We just learned that you built the program and you guys tried to simulate the best of your ability what it's actually like to be trained and to be a SEAL in a matter of 10 days when you guys have to deal with it for a year, which is absurd. I can't imagine. And I think without like putting too much physical harm to us and pushing the limits, you guys were able to do that. And I think Cam and I probably came in and was like, okay, physically, I feel like we're probably going to be able to do anything. And what I learned so quickly that in order to be considered a SEAL, you have to be physically strong, emotionally strong, and mentally strong. And I learned so much about myself as far as my type of leadership skills, which brings me to my next point. When I got the opportunity to lead my group in the water, first off, I'm a land animal. I like being on land. I can run, I can jump on land, but in a boat and on water, I feel useless. And I just happened to have the mission where that was me leading. And although I got my tail chewed, which I'm okay with getting my tail chewed. Like, that's just, playing football, that's just a part of the game. You got to know how to let it right off your back and motivate you more so. So that was fine. But I learned so much about myself as far as my style of leadership. When I played NFL football, I was more of a go out there, show them how it's done, make the plays, find a way to win the game, make the catch, and that's how you lead. I learned right then and there that there's so many different styles of leadership out there in the world. And it opened my eyes because that was something I've been battling within my family. It's like, how can I lead my family? I'm so used to just kind of doing it, but my family need me to communicate that. And going back home, that was probably one of the things I was most excited about to like try, is how to lead them without the action, but more so the words and the confirmations. And like, gosh, you guys exposed the crap out of me. Can you talk about what that was like experiencing it? Was there a moment that you ever dealt with something similar?
Yeah, yeah. That is the hardest piece about, right? When I went through my selection, right, the idea is to break you down physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, everything. So you're doing stuff and you know the schedule. You're doing stuff that you've never done before. I was an athlete, I played semi-pro football. It's about as close I can get to wherever you were. You was on another pinnacle level there. But none of that matched what I had to do. I'm talking about 2 mile ocean swims early in the morning, 4 mile time runs in soft sand, carrying a boat on your head, logs on your chest, and you got to do all this stuff for a couple hours of exercise, and you're constantly doing this back to back to back to back with very little food, very little hydration, right? Very little sleep, and it's nonstop because now you got the mental side with them breaking you down, telling you you're not good enough, and you can be the strongest person, but our program is really meant to break you down from that physical piece and you'll find your weakness. And you know how it is, especially when you're a top tier NFL player and you find out, hey, I am actually weak at something. And then we exploit it and we keep hammering that thing that you're weak at. Then your
Mm-hmm.
mind starts to play with you. Your mind tells you I'm not good enough. You start questioning who you are. You start doubting your skills, your level, your leadership, who you are internally. Should I be here? Am I hurting my team more by staying here? Maybe I should leave. Maybe I should quit. Maybe I should ring that bell. That's how it is for us. Maybe I should ring that bell. And everything plays so much into it. The water, cold water of San Diego, that takes your soul away. And the more we put you in the water, it continues to take your soul away.
I couldn't sleep at
And
night.
oh, you said it, and we know it. We know what's the thing, right? And I'll give you an example. I went through my class of about 260 men back then when I had to go through it. And by the time in Hell Week for us, dude, I don't know, does everyone understand Hell Week? I'll break it down for your audience, for your fans. Hell Week is in Buzz. Buzz stands for Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training. That's our thing. Yeah, even the title of the school sounds like hell. Basic Underwater Demolition.
Hmm.
And Buds, the first half of training is 6 months long. So you get to Hell Week. Hell Week is the fourth week, right? So you get to it pretty quickly. They want to chop off the fat of the class right away. They want to find out who really wants to be here. And because they can't shoot at you and put you in a combat scenario to find out what you're really made of and peel back those layers of who we are, right? Layers of your leadership skills, layers of your independency, of feeling like you're committed to the situation, committed to this thing, right? We're peeling back these layers like an onion. So when you get to Hell Week, we got there, we was probably 120 men by that time. So in 3 weeks, we lost over 100 people.
What?
So we get to Hell Week, and Hell Week starts Sunday night. Normally it can go from 9, 10 p.m., and it's going to go all the way until Friday morning nonstop. That's the training of Hell Week. You get 3 hours of sleep in the middle of the week, and I think that's on Wednesday, if I'm not correct. I can't remember, but I think it's on Wednesday. 3 hours, and you do not sleep in those 3 hours. I'm telling you honestly. Your body is trying to heal. You're trying to get comfortable, but as your body's trying to heal, everything is being more inflamed now. Your inflammation through your body is nuts. Feet is swelling up, so your boots are getting extremely tight. Your fingers are blowing up. You can't bend them. You can't grab anything. You're just because you're just laying there on a cot in the middle of the day. It's not nighttime sleep. It's in the middle of the day of the working hours. So you hear people walking by your tent. You hear cars driving by. It's not a quiet scenario. You're not going to sleep. And then as soon as they tell you to get up and get out and you got to start running again, everything hurts even worse now. Just a trot. So I get there, and on Thursday we get medical checks, and you're stripped down to your underwear. You're shoulder to shoulder with your guys. By this time on Thursday, we're down to probably, I think, a little between 50 and 60. People are gone. People are quitting. Nothing gone. And it's cold in San Diego at this time. I went through in the wintertime. And I'm telling my doctor, I have pain in my stomach. Don't know what it is. So he tells me to lay down. He pushes on my stomach, and I'm just in crazy pain. And he's like, "You're going to the hospital." I'm freaking out. I'm scared to death. Golden, I'm thinking, hey, I got one more day, less than 24 hours, and I'm finishing this thing. At least finishing this hard piece of it so I can continue on and get to the next phase of diving, explosive breaching, weapons, skydiving, all this other stuff you got to deal with. And I started to cry because I thought my dream of being a Navy SEAL, you know, and I'm the only, at this time, I'm like the only black guy in my class. So I'm like the last one standing. I
Hmm.
really want to represent for my grandmother. I want to represent because I had a kid in high school. I wanted to show people where I come from. Didn't have mom. Mom was a drug addict. Didn't have a dad. Didn't know who he was. But my grandparents raised me. I wanted to be something inspiring for that people, that group of people who grew up poor, group of people
Hmm.
who didn't have the right best circumstances coming up. And I wanted to show them, hey, you can change that. You have each and every one of us have our own power to change the circumstance from our birth. And I thought my career was over, man. I thought that was it. They put me in the hospital, and I was sitting there. I was calling back, trying to like make sure I'm still in the cool in the game. Finally got an instructor. I'm hooked up to all this stuff. They said my kidneys were shutting down because my muscles were breaking down internally because of what they put you through. And I remember one time you even said this in the show. I saw this because we don't get to see what you guys say in the background during the filming, but you
Hmm.
saw this on the show. You said this. You was like, um, "This is they're not treating us like humans or something." You said it was something to that effect. I said something similar to that when I was going through. I was like, if the world knew what they were doing to us, this was illegal. I was like, this can't be right. But I understand why it has to be so intense, why it needs to be that way, why Navy SEALs are so good at what we do, why the White House calls us to go after the biggest and baddest terrorists in the world, because you have to be that trained to that level
Hmm.
and mentally. And finally got someone on the phone and uh, told the instructor I didn't quit. And he said, "Is this Quarles?" I said, "Yes, it's Quarles. I didn't quit. They just pulled me out because of my health and all this other stuff." And he said, "Don't worry about it. Just heal up and come back. You're good." And I felt a relief. The weight
Hmm.
on me for I thought my career was done. My chance of being a Navy SEAL was over. Came back the next day, it was even less. There was like 30 guys in the class. So that many people still quit from that less than 24 hours left to finish. Long story short, finished the next 6 months. It was still hell, the hardest thing for me. Um, but I graduated as the first Black man to graduate Navy SEAL training, top of his class,
Mm.
as the honor graduate. So that was a big thing for me to be able to, represent my grandmother in that way and show her that special need that I was able to do something to that level.
Wow, that's that's absolutely insane. You were probably felt like you're on your deathbed, and you
Yes.
were not worried about your health. You were more so worried about, man, they about to kick me out the program and not let me continue this journey.
Yeah.
I mean, my mind is blown. I mean,
Yeah.
I admire you all so much more. I've always thought our military servicemen and women are nothing shy of superheroes.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
sacrifices, what you guys have to deal with, and like the things that we just take for granted for our freedom, like, sleeping in my bed, having mom spaghetti, having, just the stuff that I'm used to, and you guys have that completely ripped away from you, including in your case your health.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
through all of that, you just kind of found a way, and you were more so just worried about, hey, am I going to have to start over? Am I going to be able to continue finishing this? Not if I'm going to die, can I finish?
Mhm.
I mean, kudos to you, man. And you told us a story on the show, and I remember like that it was motivating, it was inspiring, and it made me suddenly like stop complaining about the little crappy dumb stuff I was complaining about, and it helped me get through a few more days.
Mhm.
You said something a little bit earlier about how your muscles tense up after being sleep deprived, and I remember on that last day, now that it's out, every day I found a way to get through. And then that last day was the day where I was completely broken. And I will never forget going through that. Every football injury I'd ever had just reappeared. And I could sit there and feel it with a heartbeat wherever it was, a finger, arthritic toes, my neck, the rib from hurting it jumping off the bridge. And to have to stay awake for, I don't know, how long was it, like 15 hours straight?
Mhm.
Or
Longer.
because
You guys were up for a long time that last 2 nights. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that was insanely hard. And the hardest part for me was just standing still, because I had nothing but time to sit there and feel literally every bone, every organ, every football injury over and over.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So for the fact that y'all go through that, I'm just whoo. Wow, I don't even know where to go from after hearing that story. I mean, that's my mind's blown. Let's get a little bit lighter here. Okay. Jeez. So our living quarters was nothing, shy of luxurious. It was like staying at the W, to say the least. And then you guys had the penthouse level right up above. What was it like for you up there with the boys?
Oh, we some people always had thought that we stayed off campus. They were like, "Do you guys stay at hotels?" I'm like, no, this is we create this to be realistic as close as we can anyway, of course,
Uh huh.
to the task that we try to create and make it seem like something that we've trained to or experienced in real life. So we live with you guys like a deployment. We're just like there, right? Our berthing looks just like yours. We had fly traps up there because for some reason the flies kept coming in there. So we had a bunch of fly traps trying to get them because every time we ate up there, they mass like it's time for them to eat dinner as well.
Mm-hmm.
We had mouse as well. We'll see it running around. We had a little bench so we can still do little workouts because we were all into still working out.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
by day three, that bench is untouched. Nobody's touching it after day three. Like, we're tired too. because we're all out there together, right? We're doing the same thing with you guys.
Hmm.
We're all out there waiting for your next time to go, whoever's going. So we actually feel every single thing, and it feels like a deployment. So by day 4 or 5, we're just as tired too. So the difference is no one's yelling at us. So we're not on tense as much as you are because you don't know what's coming. You don't know
Hmm.
when we're coming out. We don't know when we're going to ask. You don't have know when we're going to ask you to come out. When we want to have you to do something or whatever. So, but we always are planning something and maneuvering. Some things change on the fly. Like I think we had a task for you guys, a really awesome task that we wanted to do. It was going to be a climbing task. Have you guys swim up to? Um, it was either going to have the boats bring you in, or we're going to have you guys swim up one at a time to a cliff, right? And it's going to be pretty choppy out there. So there's definitely going to be some safety concerns as well for some of the things that we had to do in the SEAL teams. Like when we're
Hmm.
attacking a target that's close to the ocean, climb up on this rock bed, and then also make your way around the rock bed and then climb all the way back to the top to get out. So that was going to be a task that we wanted you guys to experience. But then something came in. I think environmentalists came in and said some birds had nested there, so we couldn't use that area. So we had to change things sometimes. So
Thank
we
God.
make we make things change on the fly. So it's just the way it is, man. I mean, people don't really know that we make this a realistic, unscripted reality show. There's no gimmicks, there's no scripts, there's no you guys get to go hang out at the hotel. You guys get people even think that about you guys. I've had people ask me about you guys. They said, do the celebrities get to go and hotel and have coffee and all this other stuff? And shit? I'm like, yeah, I don't know how y'all get this
Y'all
idea.
missing it.
But yes, they're missing out. I don't know where they get this stuff from, but people have their own perspectives, and that's what they think sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't know when them lights was going to turn off. It could have been 9:30, could have been 11. And you couldn't take a deep breath until them lights shut off. And you just kind of better be ready because then you got to get your flashlights out. But it was like a sign of relief when them lights cleared. I was like, oh, thank God. They're not going to mess with us again, hopefully. um, what would you say when you drew this up, what would you say was going to be the hardest challenge or mission physically?
Uh, Honestly, I wouldn't say either. I wouldn't give any task harder than the next or harder than the last. I will say just accumulatively, all of it together. At some point around day 5 is when we really see the ones who are really trying to be there and stay there because their why is huge. They're inspired to be here. If you get to that point,
Hmm.
they really start to find themselves fighting everything now because you're
Hmm.
frustrated, you're tired, you're hungry, everything hurts. And I think accumulatively, everything together is really what gets to you all, is what get the people. The tasks are what they are. You're going to pass them, you're going to fail them. How you handle that is going to be what we're looking for.
Hmm.
And for the most part, we're trying to purposely make you fail, right? In a way, right? We're throwing little wrenches in the system. We're messing with you. A clear one I can remember right now. It wasn't about you, but it was about Taylor, you know, Kayla Nicole. It was on that same train, same task where we had you jump out of the helicopter and you have to get to the buoy for extraction. And I'm the one on the Zodiac coming to pick you up and take you home. And I knew by that time, I forgot what day it was, every one of you were looking for a win. Every one of you needed a win, right? You needed that mentally so you can
Hmm.
break through and go to the next level. And when it got to her, she was so close that I could have made a decision to pick her up. She was that on the line of where she needed to be. But I purposely made a decision to leave her ass in the water because I wanted to challenge her and see how she handles that failure because I knew she wanted that win.
Mm.
And when that was all done and we got up to the top and I got to see all you together, I watched her. She was going down. Her mindset was going down. She was eating herself up for that failure. And that's what I wanted to see, how she comes back out of that. Will she come out of that? How she handles that. And I think to put you all in that position of failure is the biggest challenge to me that I enjoy seeing you all work through and come out of, because that was the biggest challenge for me when I went through, when I failed. I was not the strongest long distance runner. I was a sprinter. I was not a swimmer at all. But we're swimming 2 mile ocean swims for the first time in my life, and I'm like barely making it. at the end, struggling, and I'm getting told how much I suck by the instructors by the time I get out of the water. Taking that,
Sounds
just taking that
familiar.
in. you know, taking it all in, taking it all in. I wasn't a bit fast at the old course, but my drive mentally, my reason why, my inspiration, right? The reason why is a big thing, right? People use that word, your reason, or that phrase, the reason why, cliche. They undervalue how serious that is.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, I'll say this, and I don't want to jump ahead, but one thing I liked a lot about you when I saw your reason why, and I saw it when I came into barracks, I did the barracks inspection, and I read what you were writing down, right? I read that, and everything that was in your little green notebook was about your family. That was your reason why.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, you could have been writing any kind of stuff in there. Most people just play around with it because they're bored. You were
Mm-hmm.
writing about your wife, your kids, and I knew that was the key that kept you there at that time so long, and it kept you moving forward because of your family. And that to me is what we want to see. Hold on to your reason why because it's so valuable. It means something. It's so inspiring. My reason why? My grandparents. Your
Mm-hmm.
reason why? Your family. So that's what it was for me.
Man, I remember when you walked in there and that first barrack check and you started reading, you found my hypervolt that they let me have to massage muscles, which wasn't realistic. Like you guys would have never gotten to bring a massage gun in there to help you out. So I had it that day. It was going tomorrow for sure. And I never forget. You said, "Number 9, you don't like me, do you?" Staff, no, I like you a lot, Staff. I like you a lot. And you like looked at me, okay. And then you put it back in there. But I thought I was about to get in so much trouble for like bringing that notebook and having pictures of my family that I was like, no, I hope we don't get punished. Like, because if one got punished, we all got punished. I was like, no, don't.
Mhm.
I hope we don't all get punished because I brought in, devotional and wrote letters to my family. So I was on edge for that situation, and I was glad that you didn't put the hammer down on us right there.
Mm. No, no,
Uh,
no. I was just there just to check and see. To that moment, I was like, I'm gonna give you guys a reprieve. I'm gonna give you guys a little chill. But I
Thank
still
you.
gave you guys a little something because Cam was sneaking food in there, and
Was it
I was
raisins
like,
or something,
he
or some old
Cam was
potatoes?
Cam had all kind of stuff in there. He had a whole meal plan up in there. He was ready to go for the whole week, like he was prepping for a fitness competition. He had it all in there. So I still gave you guys something, but I wasn't going to go crazy because I knew what we were doing later, and I didn't want to put you guys in too much damage.
Yeah. That beasting at the base is what kind of got me to the point where I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. The beast between the beasting at the base and then followed by like it felt like it was less than 12 hours later, the SEAL hike or the special forces hike it was a grinder. Like my
Mhm.
legs, I was walking like a weirdo. Like I was, it felt like I just squatted 500 pounds the day before. Like I could not walk. That was the moment where physically I was like, I genuinely don't know if I can do this. Like,
I, I knew that was coming. Of course, I knew it was coming, and mentally, I already had planned what I was going to do to y'all that day. One, y'all owed me. So I was going to make sure y'all paid for that. Y'all owed me something. I forgot what you did as a class. You wasn't uniform or something. You wasn't
yep.
working together or something. And I was like, okay, they're not taking on the military aspect of things yet. They got to catch
Mm-hmm.
on to this piece of unity. One looks one way, we all look the same way, right? That's how just normal in military standards. So when I devised the idea of how I'm going to run that, I knew that was going to be a kicking the, what I want to
Mm-hmm.
say.
Yeah, it was.
And I wanted to check to see how you guys handle that. And seeing how they put it together in the edits, it was hell watching it, but they still missed out on so much. And I get it. There's so much stuff that they couldn't put in. And I get it because we only got a certain amount of time, but there were so many things that I wish they would have gave the audience a chance to see. But hey, they still got the audience. I think they got to understand what it was all about.
Speaking of stuff they didn't show on the show that I thought would have been like hilarious to see me in the chicken coop. I'm talking about soon as we get to base, I fidgeted. or something like that. Someone made a comment, Billy made a comment, and I pulled my sweet down. Number 9, why are you fidgeting? You will be punished. Dang! Here we go again already. Sure enough, go on and sit in the chicken coop. What?
Yep.
Why the chicken coop? Why you put me in the chicken coop, dog?
That's a humiliation thing right there. Again, mental piece. We're going to humiliate you a little bit and see how you become, right? Because everybody has their thing. They have a limit, and we'll see what's going to make them up and leave. What's going to make them quit, And we want to. You was the guy. I already knew somebody was going in there. We was gonna find someone to go in there. Mm-hmm. Period. No matter if it was you fidgeting or somebody looking away. Just for looking down and not looking straight away, I would have got somebody. Somebody was going in there before we get started.
I just happened to be the casualty, huh?
You were.
Man, my knees was on fire, dude. Because I couldn't sit down in it. Sitting down would have been easy. I had to like literally sit there and stand with my knees above like my butt. And obviously playing football is not. It was a little grinder to say the least. No. But that's how we kicked it off, and I was like, all right, here we go. And then things just increasingly got harder and harder. Obviously anything in water, like the beehive, I was about ready to like be done right then and there. I think I even said it like in the show, like I think I drowned like 3 times. And I'm watching you up in there, number 9 with a pool noodle. You got a pool noodle, Bryce. You splashing us in water, and we all boots flying all around. It was.
Let me tell you, we were going to do that somewhere else. At the last minute, we decided to create this giant pool outside the compound, but that was going to be in actually like a body of water somewhere. But we wanted to, for safety reasons, want to make sure we can control everything. So that changed at the last minute as well. So they bought that and created it all there. But the beehive, the idea of the beehive, again, for this one, imagine now in training and still training, when we do that for real, you're in a pool about 20 feet of water with anywhere from 70 to 80 people in there together. All of you. You have one instructor who's sitting on a noodle like I was in the center, and every SEAL instructor is now pushing everyone together, right, to the king, right? So imagine you're in that large amount of people, and everyone's kicking each other. You can't tread water. You're drowning. The water is splashing. Every breath you take, you're soaking in more water. You're going down. You're trying to go up. You're grabbing on other people. The chaos behind it.
No rhythm.
No rhythm. No rhythm is really meant to put you in that state of you're being shot at. You really feel you're going to die. You guys are going to feel like you're going to drown. Mm-hmm. And that is the piece of the pie that we wanted to give you all and give the realistic side of it for the fans and for the audience to see this is what it's like when you're under massive duress, when you think you're going to die, when you're in combat, when you're tired, you can't sleep, you can't move, you're grabbing everything. How do you respond as a man or a woman? How do you take on this massive amount of chaotic situations? And that's what we gave you guys a test of. And watching you while I was in there, not you, I'll say watching all of you. When I say you, I'm like, it was something fun to see. And I'm splashing you at the same time while y'all trying to breathe. So you're trying to breathe, but you're breathing in water, splashing in your face. Y'all swimming to the edge. I'm trying to yell, get your butt back in here. Get your asses back in here. Mm-hmm. And Rudy swimming around, pushing y'all towards me, and y'all struggling, kicking each other. People are trying to do what I did. Because I tried it once when I was doing it. I thought I was a smart guy in the bunch. I went underwater, thought I'd calm myself down and then come back up. My little hole closed, and I was getting kicked in the head. And then I had to try to swim way out to the back to get up. And I'm panicking because there's a lot of people I got to get past to get to the back. Mm-hmm. I got to the back, and as soon as I come up, an instructor is pushing me again. I'm like, this is like, wait a minute, time out. Ain't no time out.
No.
There's no time out. You have to survive. And that's what that whole, I guess, exercise is for.
You know, I'm seeing a lot of value in hearing you explain to us like the reasoning behind it, because obviously in the middle of chaos, we just know that we're getting our tails kicked. We think we're dying, but there's a point to every one of these, which is, I think is very unique. And I'm a huge why guy, understanding why am I doing this? And like, it's like a puzzle that you guys are piecing together really for the last day, but it all played a part and was challenging in its own unique way. And I gained so much value hearing like the reason behind it, which is super cool for me to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean
Um,
everything we did, brother. I mean, it was all about mental toughness. Truly, that's what it's all about. I mean, that shapes you in this space of this world that we're in right now. The mental mindset of a person. How you're going to accomplish a thing. Are you going to use an excuse and then try to justify that excuse so you can say, "Hey, I tried. I'm gonna go and do something else."
mhm,
When it's not that you should be trying to do something else because you want it to be easier. You should want to be better. You should want to be harder. You should want to grow so you can attack that thing and get better past it. So it's just one of those things that we harp on throughout the training of it. And man, and it gets you, like you say, it all accumulative to get you to the end and see how you handle interrogation. Because
mhm,
interrogation is all mental. Now you got to put it all together. You're
mhm,
hungry, you're tired, sleep deprived, you're thirsty. Everything about your body is aching. How are you going to respond to this? Can you still be clear minded, which is
mhm,
extremely hard when you're under those kind of conditions?
mhm. Um, Speaking of, man, I got so many. We have so many moments that it's awesome. It is like awesome to look back on it. Speaking of that last day, we're on the journey, hiking through Wales with that 30-pound Bergen zone. I've been up all day and had to fight a dude and had to. What else we had to do? Some other
I
crap
had
I
to fight
can't
a dude,
remember.
had to do
Yeah,
all the, yeah.
I had to fight a dude. Anyway, and then we get to this little area that has snacks. You know, I'm a snacker. I love my snacks. I love my donuts. I love my sweets. I love my candies. And boom, right here. It's just right here. If it wasn't for Cam, I would have grabbed me a Snickers and a donut. They didn't have maple bars, but I would have grabbed me a donut. And I remember, like, after the fact, once I'm home and back to being normal, I was wondering, like, man, was that a trap, or like was they genuinely like offering us some snacks if we just paid for them? But obviously we didn't have no money.
Mhm.
So was that a trap for
Yes.
me?
Yep. Sure was. Sure was. Now, you wouldn't have paid me for it. You would have paid the interrogators once you got back. But that's a definite trap because when we do it, you don't want to take something while you're on the run. One, you're in a different country. You have no idea what's in it. It honestly could be something that's set up to poison you. It could be a trap for you.
Mm.
So you stay away from it. Your goal is just to get home and live off the land, if you can understand how we train to live off the land. But you don't want to
Mm.
grab stuff like that and just steal stuff like that. So, yep, it was a trap. If you would have got it, they would have found something on you, whether a wrapper, because most people would have did it and kept the wrapper on them, and they would have. The interrogators were so good at what they do, they would have figured out a way to get at you with that. So it was
Mm.
a good thing that you left it. A good thing that you left it. But
Wow,
yeah,
man, I'm
we've
like,
gone through that.
and I was willing to like leave my headlamp, which I mean, my headlamp had to be a value of like, I don't know, we'll say $15 on the cheaper side, but it was a quality lamp, okay? And so I was actually I was offering to overpay
Mm.
for the donuts, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I
Yep.
didn't.
And leave it there. Leave it there.
Oh
I
my
mean,
goodness.
interrogation is a hard phase, man. When we go through it, the interrogators are allowed to physically put their hands on you and like hit you. So when I went through it, I was getting slapped around, physically, palm open, slapped around. And
Ooh.
you have to understand what that whole piece of interrogation is, how to break the interrogators and get past them so you can survive and hopefully get rescued.
Okay. And I don't even know if you're allowed to share that, but what would be a technique to break the interrogators? Because I felt like I was hopeless and there was nothing I could say or do for them ultimately to believe me. I've been sleep deprived. I'm hungry. I'm sore. I'm in a whole other country. I didn't know what I could say. I mean, I knew my cover story like the back of my hand. I felt like, but what can you really say?
It is the cover story in real life because Billy, he's actually been captured. So he's been through interrogation on the real side of things.
Hmm.
I've just trained to it. The rest of it is trained to it. So, you know, uh, your job is primarily just to build a rapport with them, to make them see some type of value in you to want to keep you alive.
Mm,
Now, how that works, how you're able to do it, it just depends on the dialogue between you and them. So it's not like a one size fits all. I can't really say how you can break them, but the way you can break them is meaning how you can keep them wanting to keep you alive, keep you around, and not hurt
mm,
you or hurt someone else because they look at you as a thing of value. Because they
mm,
know if they hurt you or say kill you, that, okay, there's a big chance that now everything is going to come down on them. Because everyone knows Americans, you heard of American overseas somewhere. Is you just open up a can of worms now. We are Godzilla. We're coming. So the best thing for you, if you have one of us, is to do right by us and get and work on negotiation to give us back. Because if you hurt us or kill one of us, it's crazy. And for us in the SEAL teams, we train to the point of we know we're not getting captured. Because what most terrorists want to do is take away a member of the special forces, a Navy SEAL, to be
Hmm.
able to say they have one. You
Hmm.
know, what they would do to someone like me, right? Before they cut my head off and drag my body in the street and just praise, like, oh my God, we just got one of their guys, one of their top echelon guys, elite special forces guys. Before we allow them to do that, I'm not getting captured. So that's how we train for that in that level of no, this is what we have to do. And that's why the SEALs are so good at what we do. We're really good at what we do because we train uh to the highest level of you just can't explain our training. It's just very um intense, very serious, and humbling to make sure you know how to come back alive.
Yeah. And to take it further, I remember Rudy saying, 1,000 days on the run is better than 1 day captive.
Yes. Yep.
Like, people, let that sink in, okay?
Yep.
We were on the
I
run for
remember that.
12 hours, but it's still better than being captive. And I completely agree.
It is. It is. Do not get captured. Do not get captured because these people want to hurt you. They want to hurt you. And you just never know, man. You want to go home to your families. That's what
Hmm.
it's all about. Same thing while we tell people to write write those letters to your families. Because that's a real thing. That's such a real thing. You never know if you're going to come home, especially in the special forces, because we are a offensive unit. Our job is to go out there and seek danger, to go
Hmm.
out there and get the bad guys. We're not a part of the Department of Defense where we're sitting waiting for something to happen to us and we react. No,
Hmm.
we're going to you. We're bringing this fight to you. So you're always stepping out, and there's a chance that you may not come home.
Wow.
And that's the nature of the idea of what we do, and we love it. We enjoy it. We want to be a part of something that's creating significance in this world, and that's why you have us. That's why we're there.
Wow. That's so special. Was there a moment during your SEAL journey that you felt like, you know what? It is what it is. This is what I'm made for. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I do. Outside of being in the hospital, but was there a defining moment there outside of that moment?
My first deployment, I went there to Iraq, and I wasn't a SEAL at the time. And when I saw the SEALs, I saw how much of a direct impact, a true impact they had on what was going on with the war. Now, everyone has an impact, right? I mean, we're all serving. We're all overseas. We're all doing this. Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force. We're
Hmm.
all serving. But what I saw in the SEAL teams is that, man, they were really making huge differences. And I wanted to be a part of that.
Mm.
That inspired me. It wasn't me growing up seeing the old Charlie Sheen Navy SEAL movie back in 1989 or whatever that came out when I grew up, because I'm an '80s baby.
Hmm.
Um, but it was more so just knowing I can be a part of something that's bigger than me. That's what
Ooh,
really ticked me on about being a Navy SEAL. That's what really turned the light on. Like that right there. I want to be that guy.
that's
Right.
so good.
I grew up, had this big dream to be in an NFL. I straight up did. You know what I mean? That was the big idea. But then what was going on around me, and I didn't pay attention or do what I needed to do in school. And then I had a kid in high school. It was just everything was against me. But I looked at people like yourself, and I'm not saying this is because I'm on your show. I looked at people like yourself, who were 5'8", 5'9", right? Not the typical six something wide receiver that most teams are looking for, but the person that can get into that slot position and do the dirty work, do the hard
Hmm.
work, go across that middle, deal with those linebackers, have their hands like glue, and be that person that can make those catches when depended on, when really needed. You know what I'm saying? And still go deep and take the top off the defense. That was my dream. And I
Hmm.
looked at guys like you, Steve Smith, Santana Moss, those guys. I was like, man, you guys have taken the position and moved it to another level. Danny
Hmm.
Amendola, you know what I mean?
Hines
Those type of
Ward.
guys. Yeah, Hines Ward, those kind of guys made things happen. So when that wasn't in the cards for me anymore, I looked at what was the next best thing when I got on that plummet and I saw the seals. That's it. That's the next best thing right there for me.
Mm,
That is the thing for me. That's my opportunity to still be a big, impactful person in this world and
hmm
give back. So that was my moment for me is when I knew there was a shot for me that I can be a Navy SEAL because I didn't know it. You know, going into Navy boot camp, well, not my instructor, but who was the people that recruit you? Recruiter.
hmm
Never mentioned it. Never brought it to and I never thought about it either. I wasn't aware. So when I saw it,
Wow.
that's when things changed, and I knew I wanted to be something like that.
Wow. That's so good. Is there so you've been on 2 seasons of Special Forces, is that right?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Season two,
Of the
season
American.
three. Yeah.
Is there a recruit from last season or this current season that you felt like might have had a chance to make a run to be an actual SEAL?
Um,
And feel free to say no.
I can't. I can't say definitively. I'll say this for the physical side of it. Season two, uh, Tyler Cameron, he was the Basher guy. He played collegiate football.
Mm,
You know, he was in there. He was a very gritty guy. I'd say for our season, the one we just did, you, um, Bodie, of course, he finished it, and Hartley, Terry, Terry Hart, mentally,
hmm
oh, not mentally, but physically. Physically, you guys had all the intangibles. You just had to push through the mental side of it. Could you
hmm
deal with having someone yelling at you all the time,
hmm
belittling you every single day for almost an entire year
hmm
before you can put that trident on your chest and say, I am that guy. I am
hmm
that silent professional. I am that SEAL, you know, and take on that history of what we've done and go out there and make things happen. That would be, I would say, physically, yeah. The only test would be, could you guys get past the mental side of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the main grit of it because the mental side is tough. Um, and some people are arrogant, some people can't handle it. Some people are just, they can't deal with it a lot, So that's what I would say. Yep. On the people that I think. One from season two, but a couple from season three. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. You, it's funny you say that because I kind of came into this season with the mindset of like, me quitting is just simply not an option,
Mhm.
period. There's nothing that's going to make me quit. And I prepared myself in that way leading up to it. I was like, quitting is not an option. I'm here to do a job. I'm here to complete this course. And it's going to hurt. It's going to suck. But so does, completely different, but so does training camp those first few days. So does a lot of situations during the season. Obviously, not life or death like it was for you guys, but I've been challenged, but it just wasn't an option to quit unless I physically could not walk, lift, or think. So I felt like I had an advantage there. Where I learned that I was exposed the most is like I was not able to critically think quickly and efficiently in the midst of chaos of having you or Billy or Foxy or Rudy in my ear as I'm trying to figure out where the hostile is camping out. I was not able to do that. And obviously mental strength in life is very important, period. And whatever
Right.
job you're doing, family life, passion, whatever it is. What is something for some of us who are mentally weak that we can kind of be working towards or doing to kind of strengthen that?
First, identifying who you are, right? Because we go through a lot of mental toughness courses when we become a SEAL, and even some while you're going through the program.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end anyway, because they know now you're getting close to graduating, so they start giving you classes. We learn about mental toughness, and it's first just identifying your weakness, but not making your weakness be a big flaw for you, making that weakness something that you want to grow and get better with. That is a
Mm-hmm.
part of it. The mindset is how your mindset changes, creating different habits. When you start having those negative thoughts, because we all get them, right? Our mind is the biggest, you know, uh, uh, the decider of who we are, and we don't have full control of it all the time. That's why you think that's why we have people who commit suicide, because their mind has gotten them believing that this is the best option for me because I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm not worthy of this. Is I'm not strong enough, I'm not the guy. So it's something that you got to identify, and then when you identify what that thing is, you got to really want to work on that particular item that you're
Hmm.
flaw on and
Hmm.
make it better. Whether you're getting into motivational talk, self-talk, right? And I'm sure y'all had that in the NFL. They had people telling you about self-talk,
Hmm.
visualizing yourself doing a certain thing, seeing yourself walk through it, seeing yourself catch that pass, seeing yourself get past that defender, seeing yourself do anything, whatever your job is, whatever your relationship is, whatever is going on in your life as an individual that you need to get better and work on, identifying who you are, and then just understanding you have the power. Peel back the layers of yourself. You
Hmm.
have the power to be a better person. You have the power to grow. You have the power to be strong. You have the power of anything that you want to do in this world. You have the power. This mind is just going to play with you, and you can't stop it. It's just going to give you certain things and make you feel you're not enough. But you are
Hmm.
enough. You really are enough. And you got to want that. And then when you believe that you are enough, then things change for you. So it's just those things. Breathing exercise we had to go through and learning how to know that we are enough, because we see
Hmm.
a lot of stuff. You see death in the SEAL teams. You're going to see some of your friends get killed on deployment. You may, see someone get messed up on training. Someone dies in training cycle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, our training is so intense. We train live. We've lost probably more in our training pipeline than we lose on deployments because our training is that intense. When we're getting ready to go out the door, they put you up against every possible scenario you may see, and they make it times 10. That's what our training pipeline is. So you're almost
Wow.
meant to fail, but it's also giving you something that you can relate back on if you ever come across that again in real life, that you can think, hey, I had this in training. I dealt with this. I can do this. I can do this. And you go and attack.
Hmm.
So that's one thing about what we do when it comes to mindset. That's how you have
That's
to do it. You just have to get into it.
that's so good. And it reminds me of I felt myself calming myself down by breathing. I think if we can control our breath, which is something I admire about you guys in the midst of chaos and the ultimate chaos, life or death chaos, you guys are able to control your breath in the water, in the cold, in the heat. It doesn't matter. And I found so much value in playing football of breathing, through my nose, out my mouth, and trying to slow my heart rate down. And the same thing, I remember being in the buds training, or is that what you call where we're at the beach, locked arms, the buds training? And I
Yeah.
remember,
Well, that's surf immersion.
or surf immersion. I
Mhm.
remember being in surf immersion, which was we seen it on YouTube and all that stuff, but you don't really have a clue until you're actually in it, and you can't use your body weight. You have to use other people's body weight. And I had Cam Newton, but I remember I was able
Remember
to
that?
get through that because I was able to control my breathing. I remember to this day, I was sitting there locked arms. I had found a way to tune you guys out that was yelling at me. And I told myself, which I'll be there in a few weeks, I told myself, you're in Cabo right now at the beach. You just ordered a margarita, and it helped me with my breathing, and it helped me get through that portion. It was still hard, but I was able to kind of calm myself down. And I
Mhm.
wish I could have had some time to spend with Jordan, because that one is what did it to her. It
Yeah.
crushed her, and I felt so bad because if I would have just had a conversation, it might have helped, maybe not, but it
Mhm.
was like, man, that's how powerful your breath is,
Mhm.
including in my relationship with my wife and my kids, on the golf course, on the football field. Like whenever I control my breath, I feel like I have control.
Yeah. That is the key. That's one of the keys. You know what I mean? That you people have to understand how to master. And if you can master that, you can be so much better, man. And that's what it is. And going back, because I remember you said you, I think you were saying something about how it was you were exposed, and I think it was you were questioning yourself on some of the decisions you were making, or something to that level.
Yeah.
And I want to say, from when I was seeing you, brother, you had the answers. You was always there. You knew what to do. You knew where to go, but you just didn't trust yourself every time.
Hmm.
You had the answer. You had the right answer. And that was always the thing that we were trying to get you to champion. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Because once we found out that that was your, because everyone has a weakness, right? And we're going to expose it in some way. And then when we identify what that weakness is, our job is now to press on it and get you to go past it, right? Get you mentally to beat it. And I will say that was probably the thing. And especially because you can see it and then you will be so mad at yourself because you knew you had it. You knew the right answer. You knew what to do and you went another way.
twice. It happened twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if the viewers have seen it, but one of the situations was we were supposed to, we had like, I don't know, 4 minutes to go in there and save, 4 to 5 people who were being held hostage. You guys are giving us directions to just give us a picture. This is who we need to get. And I would say probably 80% of the groups got the person that you asked us to get and got out, blew the place up. And I was able to, like, I had a chance. I remember, like, we got the girl out and I was like, I remember thinking, like, wait a minute, this was way too easy. Like this, no. And I went back to go back in and instead of being a leader, I let Alana kind of talk me out of it. And boom, that was the first, one of the times it happened. Another time was in the middle of the chaos, driving through. We got people throwing bombs at us. We're trying to figure out where the hostiles are hanging out. And I remember, like, again, seeing someone throw the grenade and told myself, oh, that's easy. That's where we need to be blowing up. But deep down, I'm sitting there thinking, like, no, that's way too easy and way too obvious. Everyone's going to pass this. And I just couldn't think straight. And I think it might have been D or E or something like that. And I said C. And the moment that he said, blow this one up, I was like, crap. I know it was the other one. And those are two moments that they were fails on TV and between and deep down, but it was also a win because it let me know that, bro, you know.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
know.
Yep. Trust you. Trust you.
Yeah.
You, Golden Tate, you are enough. You have everything that you need to make the right decisions, to lead this, to lead that, to lead your family. Because I know that's your number one reason that you went into this thing. You want to be able to lead them in the right way, your wife, your kids, and everything that you do. You have it. You have it. Trust it. Just trust yourself.
Yep. Without a doubt, man. And it's crazy how this thing comes full circle over and over and over. But it's kind of it was a refreshing feeling for me, you know. You appreciate this. Jason Garrett, who I know that you didn't like him dealing with Dallas twice a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, watching them underperform nonstop. One of the quotes that he had was, know that you know. Know that you know. And that was, know your job, know that you know, go perform that way. And kind of replaying that, kind of his voice popped into my mind of saying that. And I could just see it. So that's so good. Oh, man.
Yeah. I had to deal with him for a couple of years. We couldn't stand him. He beat us. He beat us a lot of times. Let me say that. Yep. No, you're right,
No.
man, and you had it, brother, and that's what it is. And that's what, man, that's the significance we get is when we can see that after the fact. It doesn't matter if you found out that about yourself during the situation, during in it, but you found out about it at the end still. You realize that you are enough. You have the decisions. You have the right decisions. You know exactly what needs to be done. Just trust yourself, believe in yourself, because you are enough. You are the one. Truly, that's
Absolutely.
it.
Do you feel like having being a man of faith or a woman of faith
Mhm.
helps with that confidence?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Even me, I'm a Christian, right? As a man of faith, I still and challenge myself sometimes because I have doubt, self-doubt, certainty in certain things. And I'm this Navy SEAL who's done this and done that. But even with that said, I still have self-doubt sometimes. And because of my Christianity, my faith keeps me grounded. I am able to release some of this sometimes, but it takes time because sometimes I forget and I try to figure it out on my own. instead of bringing it to him and just saying a prayer and being in my own space and just saying, you know what, God, I need you to help me here. I need you to take this from me for a moment because this is bothering me, or give me opportunity that I can overcome this thing that is taking my mind and making me feel negative about it, or feel like I just can't do it, or feel like it's just hard for me, or I'm struggling with whatever this thing may be. So I
Hmm.
will say having some type of grounded something, right? There's a lot of people out there who's not, they don't have a faith in anything but themselves. But I would tell people to have some kind of mental idea to go to go outside of yourself
Hmm.
and find a way to put that thing down and allow yourself to achieve more and just know that you are good enough. Because for me, yeah, I will say it is my faith that allows me to be better and go further. So when I'm struggling, my why, number one, is the big thing that comes back into me. Why am I doing this thing? For who? My grandmother, my kids. I want them to see that. And even when I graduated my Navy SEAL training, my grandmother passed away before I finished it. So she never even got the chance to see me become the
Mm.
top or graduate as the honor graduate in my program. She never got to see that.
Mm.
But I still maintain the idea that I'm doing this for her, even when I was in this program.
Hmm.
So it's just, yeah, I would say, yeah. Long answer, I guess, but I would say yes.
That's so good. And I'd be interested to see, like, through that process, if they ever took a survey to see like what percentage, if it's even a correlation of like what percentage of strong men and women of God can overcome these things. Like, yes, of course, many of us and them are going to fail,
Yeah.
but I just like to think that maybe it's not because of it's because of giving up on yourself and not believing in something that's bigger or more important than yourself. And so, very interesting thing that happens in my mind. I just be anxious to see that play out some way. I promise you, we're kind of getting towards the end, but this is way too good of a
Don't
conversation, man.
don't worry me, brother.
Man,
I'm enjoying it. I get the chance to talk to you, and these opportunities don't come very often after the show is done. I wish we had more chance to talk and really get a feel what each celebrity got out of it. Because we
yeah.
we want to know that, but we don't always get that kind of opportunity. So I'm glad to be here. So don't worry about rushing for me. I can talk to you all day, brother.
All right. Well, we're going to make this happen a little bit longer. We're going to need you to come out here and visit because I want to hear some more mindset things, man. I'm such a huge mindset guy, and I can tell you got a lot of experience, a lot of expertise, and you're figuring some things out as well, like we all are, no matter where we are in our journey.
Mhm.
But it's super interesting to use others' testimonies and figure out how I can use it in my life, but also how I can help others around me because of someone has been through something that's
Yeah.
similar, as far as like the foundation of it. So that's really cool. I'm grateful to have this time. I want to talk about you and what you're doing in life now. Is there any businesses or opportunities coming up that you want to throw some attention at? Anything that we should be looking out for to get know you a little bit better?
Um, you know, I'm working on a book. That's number one. And it goes from my upbringing, the stuff I told you about, challenges that I grew up in, mama was addicted to drugs, the domestic violence, seeing the police going into my home, taking my mother to jail, these different things, getting full custody of my younger sister, and how I was able to change the circumstance of my life to being who I am today. Right. First, just getting to the point where I graduated Navy SEAL training as the honor graduate of my class.
Wow.
So that is going to be the first echelon of it. But I currently am doing and looking more to do more keynotes and motivational speaking at high schools, colleges, and corporate companies. I've been doing corporate companies for the most part recently, but I want to get more into the youth because I feel the youth is where we're missing the mark, right? I
Hmm.
think, especially today's, and I don't want to seem like I'm blaming certain things on the youth that we have today, but I think from my perspective, what I've seen in my experience, I would like to get more into those colleges and high schools and tell them about how you have the ability to walk in your power and be successful. But
Mm.
there are things that if you want to be successful, you got to go through certain processes. You have to deal with these things. You have to pay your dues. You
Hmm.
can't just sit back and wait for, things to fall into my lap and then it's just going to be bright days and sunshine all the time. You have to go and get it. You have to be a headhunter. in your own way. Find out how to be that in your own way.
Hmm.
You don't have to be the alpha. You don't have to be all these different things that I guess the world is trying to tell people you need to be or you need to conform to. So that's where I'm at there. And then, but people can go to my website on my Instagram. They see my little link there, and I do personal coaching as well, and they can book me for that one-on-one coaching. I do that, once a week with people, with my clients I currently have, and they just go there and they do a free consultation. I'm not someone that's looking to go crazy and get rich off these things. I'm looking to just give back. When I was a
Hmm.
Navy SEAL, my mindset was I'm doing this job to give back to the world so people can freely walk into the markets without fear of being, being murdered in the street by terrorists blowing up a bomb or blowing up a building or blowing up a flea market. They can be
Yeah.
out there. So now that I can't do that no more, how can I give back and be some type of inspiration for others and help others? Well, with my voice. So if I
Hmm.
can be a voice for people to help them understand they have the power to do something, to achieve something, to accomplish it, I want to do that. So I just tell people go on my Instagram, click on that link, on link me, and either click on my personal website or click on the my elite leadership team building that I do a business with another SEAL where we teach leadership and teamwork to corporate companies and even teams, college football teams, and all that stuff. We do that.
And there's so much value in that. Can you just, we're going to tag it, of course, but can you tell us what the websites are so we can
Yeah.
do it
Yep.
now?
Yeah.
What is it?
My personal website is jovonquarles.com. Right.
Okay.
And everyone know the spelling of my name is J-O, not J-A, like some people do
Hmm.
it, Jovon.com, jovonquarles.com. And the other one is elitelcg.com.
All right. Make sure y'all check that out, folks. There you go. We're going to wrap it up, but I thought we'd have a little fun with the rapid fire session. And either kind of quick, short, hidden, this or that type of things. But
Mhm.
let's give it a shot. We got some good ones here. All right.
Okay.
All right. A mission or a challenge you hope they decide to add in the future seasons.
Ooh, I would say the surf immersion again. I have to say surf immersion again because what y'all didn't get out of it was more of the waves. And that particular day, we lost the current from the waves, and it was more calm. But initially, when you lean back, you're gonna have waves crashing on your face, and it just feels even worse than what you went through. So I hope that we get another chance to put that back in again. I would like to do that again.
Ooh, and that reminds me, I remember checking. I had one of these ear tools where I clean the wax out of my ears. I remember getting back home, and it might have been like it was June or July, and I looked down there deep enough, and I could see like a little bed of sand that was embedded into my ear, still from that moment. It was mind blowing. The funniest mission you watch while we were there.
The funniest mission I want. Oh, the gas. The gas. That was the one. That was you and Cam together. That was so funny.
I tried.
So funny.
I
Hey, you
tried.
did. You tried. Cam lost every bit of his wits. He was completely exposed. I'll be talking to him soon, I'm sure. He was completely exposed and he just took off. I'll tell you what y'all didn't see. So people don't know that we don't get to see what y'all see in the trucks, what y'all do in the barracks while we're filming. We just only
Hmm.
deal with you when you're directly in front of us. Fox and the production team, they always have cameras and they're watching you all the time. But we don't get to see that. But what you didn't see was when he was panicking and tried to run out the door, the front door that y'all came into. Rudy was on the other side of that door, holding it like he was like, "You ain't coming out this door." Then all of a sudden, Rudy disappears. That's how big, strong Cam Newton is. When he wants to go, he's going. He ripped that door. Rudy disappeared, and I was like,
Ooh, different type of
it,
strong.
it was funny, man. So that was probably the funniest thing because I knew it was going to happen. We've gotten gas many times, many times. So I was excited to see this with y'all. I was excited.
Mm.
I was excited to see that.
Favorite military movie of all time.
Not Zero Dark 30. Was the one when they went to uh the helicopter crash in uh, It's coming. It's coming to me. I'm telling you. You know what it is.
I do, and I can't think of
Black
it.
Hawk Down. Black Hawk
Oh
Down.
yeah, yeah,
Black Hawk Down.
classic.
Mhm.
Uh, what's worse, freezing water or extreme heat?
Freezing water.
Mm,
I've gotten hypothermia many times going through training.
wow.
We even did a rewarming drill in Alaska where we had to jump in the water and we had to stay there for a certain amount of minutes. They already had it down to a science how much minutes your body can sit in that water before it really locks down and shuts down. So then we had to get out of it before we hit that number. And then we had to learn how to rewarm ourselves for the in case scenario that we're ever out on an operation and we're in cold weather, how we can survive until we get rescued, until we get extracted.
Mm. If you weren't a SEAL or trained to be a SEAL or going through that process, what would you have been doing?
If I wasn't a SEAL, my dream was to be in the NFL. My dream was the NFL. You know, I was senior male athlete of the year in my high school. I played football all years, played both sides. I was a wide receiver, running back, or DB.
Hmm.
Um, that was my dream, but I just wasn't mentally where I needed to be education wise and focused like I should have been to be on that level, to have even a chance to be where you were.
Mm,
And that's what I wanted. I just wanted the chance to play college football so I can even see if I can get there. You know, that's
right.
like the level to where you really start to grow and learn, and then see if you deserve to be in that next level of what you guys call it the shield and be in that
Mm,
space.
okay. What's one skill everyone should learn for survival?
Um, One skill everyone should learn for survival. Ooh, I say hmm, how to live off the land. I would say
Mm,
live off the land. Find a way to understand how to cook, how to create heat, how to eat, how to capture. You know, we've gone through those kind of trainings as well. We learn how to, you know, capture rabbits, make traps, how to cook them, how to skin them out there.
mm,
We had to learn that, and I even had to swallow a live fish. How to grab fish from the surf zone where the tide is out, and the fish that get trapped between the rocks and all that stuff. How to eat that? You know, how to
mm.
make sure you know how to survive off the land. You got to learn how to do that.
Wow. Okay. Favorite cheat meal?
Pizza.
Ooh, it's a good
I can
one.
eat a whole pizza or
There you
McDonald's
go.
French fries. McDonald's French
Oh,
fries.
another solid choice there. Okay. If you could train one pro athlete in SEAL training, who would it be that you haven't had to train yet?
If I could train a pro athlete, honestly, I had this question and I told myself I would love to see Tom Brady on our show. Yep.
Mm.
The GOAT, as they say, right? You know,
Hmm.
because he's able to do it at a high level for so long. And he was very disciplined in his training regimen, at least is what we know from, you know, ESPN and all that stuff, because they followed him way more. So I'm just going off what I've been told and what I've seen.
Hmm.
And I believe that's true about it. But I would love to challenge him and see how he could handle the mental challenge of now not being the number one guy, not being that person, and see how he handles that. He will be the
Mm.
guy I would like to challenge.
I can already imagine you supposed to be the goat, huh? We're gonna see. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make you a sheep. uh, all right, so you kind of answered this one, but give me you because you just gave me one. We'll say, give me two celebrities you want to see on Special Forces in addition to TB12.
Ooh, no celebrity. Mm, who else? Somebody else. Sometimes I don't know why this name always keeps popping in my head when I think about it. You might laugh at me, but Dwayne Johnson. I
Ooh,
think about Dwayne Johnson.
The
Um,
Rock.
I think about The Rock. I think about people who I can who are known to the world as these big mental toughness, strong men, and I would love to challenge them and see
Mm,
where they will be with us. So I think that's where I'm at with it, because they won't like me during the filming. Of course, during the show, people don't realize this stuff is real because I didn't like my instructors when I went through it. I mean, I hated some of my instructors. I was like, man, if I see you after this, I'm telling you, it's on. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. There's one instructor, I don't know if you'll see this, but his name was Gaylord. Just the
Uh-huh.
name. I think of the name. The name already
Mm-hmm.
sounds rough and tough and like some from medieval times.
Mm-hmm.
And he was that like medieval on us. and and I was like, man, if I see this dude out in real life one day. But I did meet him after I graduated, and he was awesome, awesome guy, man, awesome guy. But during training, I couldn't stand him. Couldn't stand him.
Okay. All right. I got one final question.
What you got, brother?
We get to day 10. I've pretty much made it to the very end at this point. I've endured a lot of pain, no sleep, no food. They put me on that plank. Kayla sitting right there with the cinder block. Her face is covered over. Homie, who I promise you, if I saw him today, I would try to beat his ass. Even though that
Yeah,
dude's just an actor, I would try to, boy, and he bigger than me, but I would try to scrape him.
yeah.
I didn't feel like I was like in danger of dying in that situation. And I didn't feel like Kayla was dying in that situation because she was still sitting down. Okay. What should I have done? Well, I know what I should have done. I should have said I'm special forces and probably been done with it. But did you know that I was going to crack right there? Just give me your overall perspective of like,
Nope. And the funny thing, because I'm watching it, right? Because every time this happens on the show, we turn everything over to the interrogators, and we give them right before it really starts. We give them a baseline of what we had observed with each one of you, so they have an idea of how to attack you.
mm-hmm,
Um, in that moment, I didn't think he was going to crack. No bullshit. Didn't think he was going to crack. I was like, crack meaning you was going to mess that up. I thought you was going to be able to like, okay, she has this brick on her leg. Got to think back to, okay, if someone's going to get hurt, I got to be able to willing to know this is the time to break. If I'm going to lose my life or someone else may be possibly going to lose their life. And they put this brick around their leg. I think, did they already have it on the leg at the time? I can't remember.
I
My mind
believe
tells me.
so.
I
Yeah,
believe,
I
yeah.
believe so.
And I knew it's going to be hard to figure out because once you're delirious, people don't realize this. People would never understand how delirious a situation can be when you are that sleep deprived, when you are that starved, when you are that thirsty, and you've been dealing with loud screaming babies and women yelling throughout your ear all day, all night long, and you're in these stress positions and your body is aching. People will never understand what is going on in their minds until they actually go through it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something you will always have that people will never be able to get to. And when you didn't break and give the answer that, yeah, I'm here, special forces, the cover story thing, I was surprised. And then I knew it was coming. And I was like, I even said it while I was watching. I was like, ooh, if he hits that water again, he's going to lose it. I said it. I
And
called
sure
it. I
enough,
said it. He's going to lose it because that water is deafening to people. And I knew it was deafening to you. It was creeping in your soul. I said, man, he hits that water again, it is over. And sure
bruh.
enough,
I told myself when they took me out there, I said, I'm not going back into that room. I don't care what this thing looked like. I'm not going back into that room. I'm in too much pain. I'm not myself, period. Not
yeah.
myself. And when he threw me in that water, and the funny thing is, they didn't even show this. I went berserk. Remember,
Oh,
like
yeah,
when
yeah.
he dumped me in that water, and I swim out that water and got up. And he's like, "Stay in there." It's like, no. I got out the water and said, "Look, if you want to talk like two grown men, we can talk like grown men. But I tell you one thing, you're not gonna do. You're not gonna harm me, and you definitely not gonna harm her. If you want to talk like two grown men, we can do that. All right." And it was game over, and then and this is also weird because I'm delirious. I'm what's going on. I'm done. You didn't pass the course, and then here come you, Billy, Rudy, Foxy, all come in there grinning like, man, congratulations! Like you did a heck of a job. You did so good. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at y'all like it was like 30 seconds ago. Like I was being tortured for the last 14 hours. How are y'all not like what is going on? And I'll never forget you saying like, man. First time I seen you smile, like a sincere smile, is after I'm done. I remember seeing you. Hey. I'm a big fan of you, man. I'm a Redskins Commanders fan now, and I remember watching you tear us up, and I'm just know that you're a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of who you are as a person, and obviously as a player. And I was just remember sitting there in disbelief, like. That's what y'all telling me right now. And long story short, I get back to the back. I go through the psyche spot where they're telling me, hey, you're gonna be messed up for a few weeks now, okay? And we're gonna check with you, so on and so forth. And they gave my phone back as I'm going another 2 hours back to wherever we stayed. And I finally called my wife, and she's like, "Hi, babe." And I just boo-hoo and cry and cry and cry. I'm talking about snot down my nose, all down my face. And I'm just like, they broke me. They broke me. Like I couldn't think. I'm sleep deprived. And she was like, oh my gosh, what did they do to you? And I was messed up for a couple weeks, man. And this would be the last thing I finished with. I remember after I got back home, I appreciated my bed and the home cooked meals in San Diego, and I appreciated it all so much more. But I'll never forget, my wife goes out to the restaurant in our neighborhood to have a cocktail with her homies. And I forgot to leave the door open, and so I'm asleep. And so she walks around the side and knocks on our window on the level, which we have doors. And I remember like waking up, like kind of shaking up, and I open up and I look at her across. I'm inside, she's outside. I look at her like trying to figure out, are you actually my wife, or are you one of the DSs or interrogators that's dressed up as someone else trying to capture me and take me back to Wales? And I like looked at her like with a blank stare. And she's like, babe, it's me. It's your wife. It's me. Hello. Hi. And I moment I'll never forget for the rest of the time, but just, so y'all understand, I think this has been an awesome podcast to kind of give you guys some insight on what actually happens. And we only got a tenth of it, like not even a tenth of it, but like this experience was the realest thing I've ever done. And people have asked me, has anything been harder? This has been the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. The fact that we were mentally, physically, and emotionally tested to the max every single day for 10 days was gut wrenching and hard. And so, with that being said, I still wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it away, because the people that I had a chance to meet, the experiences, it gave me another step closer to what our men and women do and the sacrifices. I would not. I don't regret it, and I would probably do it all again, except for I leave before the last day. With that being said, y'all, this is a treat. We got somebody who has lived it, done it, the highs, the lows, and I am so grateful that you just came out here and spent way too long out here dropping knowledge on us and blessing us with your experience, your mindset. I am forever grateful, Q. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, brother. I'm here for you, man. Anytime I can give out some knowledge and my experience to help others, I'm here for it. Each and every day.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks for having me on the show, brother.
My pleasure. Hey, and I encourage y'all, like, he's got a platform where you can get some leadership and some guidance. I would highly encourage you guys to check this out, regardless if you feel like you're healthy, regardless if you feel like you're at your lowest point or you're just content in life. I would encourage you guys to keep sharpening your tool set. Keep sharpening, because it dulls out after time. And this is an opportunity to find ways to get better, because none of us have it figured out. And now you get to get leadership and guidance from a man who has literally seen his life flash before his eyes. That's special, and you have access to it. So make sure you check out his website, do your thing. And again, thank you, Q. What an episode. Showtime with Golden Tate. This one did not disappoint. Make sure you check it out. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe.
That's right.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
Anytime, my man. Anytime.